Hey everybody, and welcome to FYB's live webcast of the French Open every day at 5 o'clock, brought to you by Championship Tennis Tours. Now, before we get started with today's matches, let me briefly apologize for yesterday. We had to cancel the webcast, and it was all Adam's fault.
Well,
absolutely on this guy. Hate mail to
Adam at fuzzyyellowballs.com.
Just bombard him.
Yeah,
sign
absolutely.
him up for spam. I'm just kidding. Don't do
No, we had some computer overheating issues, and we didn't want to risk the computer, which is pretty expensive, on the chance that it might overheat during the webcast. So that's been solved. The computer is no longer beeping at us that it's too hot, and I think we're ready to go.
Yeah, I mean, Adam installed 1 million fans in there, so
Yes.
that...
There's nothing a few fans can't fix.
There's some heavy-duty cooling. For those of you who don't know, Adam has a background in... you have all sorts of certifications with a bunch of letters next to him, MTIQX.
The alphabet.
Basically, yeah, you look at his resume, and then there's just the alphabet. That's how many certifications he has.
Yeah.
Um,
Amazingly,
English and the
I
Greek
still get it
alphabet.
wrn. Yeah.
It's both. Do they even have an alphabet? They have an alphabet.
Yeah, there's rho and gamma
Okay.
and alpha, beta. Yeah.
So
all those letters.
So he's very good at that stuff, and that's why FYB basically works, is because Adam knows stuff.
Tooling away behind the scenes to make this guy look good. It's harder than it seems. Actually, you'd be surprised.
That's very difficult to pull off. As always, we have a chat box going. If you just type, if you don't have an account on Ustream and you type in anything. If you enter in, it doesn't work. Is anybody else having troubles with the feed? We're just fine. So.
No, it's because.
Oh, was that the
freaking out here? Yeah. So unsurprisingly, as soon as we went live, there was.
Hang on, can you hear us? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? The good thing is we're recording this, so this is going to be really good on replay.
I think we might be okay now.
I'm going to keep talking.
No,
Charles says it's okay.
We're going back. I'm
going to keep talking.
We're not locking up. I don't know. This is tough. If this gets bad, we may have to shut down the cast, but we'll see. This was running fine for an hour and 5 minutes,
and then as soon as we
started, and then it stopped.
Is he asking if the audio's coming through? Everything looks good over here.
Can you guys hear us now? Can you hear what we're saying? Post in chat if you can hear us or cannot. Okay.
So Colby's good.
Well, I think we're recovering from the hangover there that the computer had.
Maybe, I guess we were just getting spited by the tennis gods for saying we're good to go. And
we're good to go. Let's continue this magic. I think, and we'll see what happens here.
Okay, so I think we're good, and if we're not, there was before we cut out again, there was a lot of good matches today. So thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you later.
Absolutely.
So enter something in the chat. If you don't have an account, you'll be prompted to create an account. There's a couple fields you have to enter, real easy. And we're giving away stuff over the course of these webcasts in the chat. Some free gift cards. I actually have to bring up the email I got from Tennis Express, who was nice enough to give us a bunch of stuff to give away. So we're going to do that later by posing some sort of question. Not 100% sure what I'm going to ask yet. Adam, if you have a suggestion.
No, I'm leaving this up to you.
Okay.
You have the tennis knowledge. I'm just the
tech
guy.
Yeah, but yesterday I asked what college you went to, or the day before.
I suppose.
Eric Papamarcos got it. He goes to Penn State. I'm wearing a Penn State shirt in honor of him, so he's getting his money's worth. All right. With that in mind, yeah. By the way, just over the course of this thing, if you're getting some skips or something, post in there so we can see.
Yeah.
All right, we babbled on enough. Let's get straight to the tennis. The match I want to start with today is Gael Monfils versus Fabio Fognini. I did a preview, or not a preview video. I guess I did a what would you call a video that previews the last couple games? Like a tweener?
Recap?
Something like? No, it wasn't, because the match wasn't over. It was in between.
Oh, it was a
tweener. It was a tweener. Yeah, so it was a tweener. And Fognini pulled it out 9-7 in the fifth set.
Yeah, I mean, and if you guys didn't see the beginning of the match, or rather the first part of the match, it went so late at the French Open that it was dark outside. The sun had gone down, and the only light in the stadium, this was on an otherwise unlit court, was the scoreboard. They had a big scoreboard up in the corner of the stadium that was casting shadows, on the players. And,
I mean, it was basically, you couldn't see. It was pitch black.
You could not see. And the cameras, the television cameras, did a pretty good job of being able to see in the low light conditions. But as a player, I mean, I'm sure if you've played at home, out after the sun has gone down, it's quite difficult to see the ball. And Mafi actually was looking like at the end he was going to lose it, and he was the one who actually wanted to keep playing in the dark. So it looked like he was almost going to dig his own grave there, and then he was able to pull it out, and then have it go,
up, yeah,
right, even it up, and then have it go to the next day.
Yeah, it was just bizarre because they were at 4-all. The tournament director comes out and he asked both players, "Do you want to keep going?"
Right.
And they both initially, from reports, said yes. First of all, a tournament director shouldn't be asking players if they want to keep going, because that can just lead to confusion. It can lead to some controversy, which is exactly what happened. The tournament director needs to come out and say, we're either playing or we're stopping, and just This is what my call is. I'm in charge. End of it. So initially, Fognini said Monfils wanted to keep going, which was strange, and we'll get to that in a second. But Fognini also said initially, I want to keep playing. But then he apparently looked at his box, and he sees his coach in there saying, no, cut it off. You want to get out of here. This is not a situation you want to be in. So he changes his mind and tracks down the tournament director, who has since walked off the court or is heading to the tunnel, and says, I changed my mind. And there's a big brouhaha for about 6 minutes. The French crowd, obviously behind Monfils, is getting on Fognini. So finally, Fognini gets a point penalty and is essentially forced to play. And he is down. So he's down love 15, and he ends up holding. He had a break point against, and during this time, Monfils starts to cramp. When Monfils steps to the line, he starts to cramp, which is just insane. I mean, who wants to keep playing when you're this far from cramping?
Right. Well, I think I don't know how I feel. I mean, obviously, I understand that there's got to be pressure for the tournament director, you would assume, to get these matches back on track, because they have a tremendous amount of rain delays there. All of the matches are behind.
That's a good thought.
So he's probably going out there wanting to get some of these matches over with. So maybe he just asked the players, if that's why, that he wanted to continue.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But
I mean, do you want to keep playing
right.
good because we need to get you off the court?
Exactly. But they're way behind schedule now. I mean, they have a lot of matches that need to get finished or made up, or whatever the
today they got barely, they got a couple second, and if let us know and we'll wait. The computer is nice enough to beep at us when there's temperature issues.
I'm going to go take a look over there. You keep this train rolling.
I'm going to keep that other fan, actually, if you put that in there.
Oh, no, my lavalier. Come back. Okay.
Okay, so, hey, everybody. Better now? Okay, good. Yeah, so the tournament's behind schedule, but you get these guys out there today. You get Fognini out there and Monfils. They're starting at 5-all. And the thing that really struck me from this match is, as soon as I watched a couple points, and Fognini had a couple break points against, which he held, but I was, actually relatively confident that Fognini was going to win the match, and it was simply based on their court positioning. Fognini was standing on the basically standing on the baseline. Monfils was behind the baseline, and from that position, Fognini was dictating every single point. Monfils was retrieving, but he wasn't in control of any points. So what I'm going to do is clip over to the dry erase board, and I'm going to go explain what I mean by that. So we're going to say that Fognini is up here, and we'll put Monfils down here. I'll write their names real quick. Fognini, and then Monfils. I like to rotate between Monfils and Monfils. Sometimes I get it right, sometimes I don't. Monfils was way back here. I mean, he was a good 10 feet behind the baseline, and Fognini was right up on the baseline. Whenever he had an opportunity to move in and step up in the court, he took it, and Monfils, on the other hand, did not take it. He really, did a poor job of closing when he had an opportunity to close, and that allowed Fognini to go corner to corner and force Monfils to run more than he would have to if he was standing up. Now, I made a preview video for the Nadal-Zeballos match, in which I said that one of the things Rafa has worked on and has gotten a lot better at is standing up in the court, because that prevents his opponents from exploiting his court positioning, moving him around the court, and it allows him to be more aggressive and to move his opponents around. So that was something, again, that worked really well for Fognini. Monfils, huge game. If he just maybe put a little bit more thought into when he should come in, then he probably would see better results. On match point down, on the match point Monfils lost, he had pulled Fognini wide off the court, and he had an opportunity to close and hit a high backhand volley into the open court. Not necessarily the easiest shot, but he didn't really have to do too much with it. And instead of closing and taking that volley, he backed up. He just gave away his offensive position. And Fognini was able to first neutralize court position, and then take the advantage by stepping up. Monfils steps back, and then Monfils, of course, loses the match. So I thought, Monfils just did a really bad job of being aggressive there when he had clear opportunities, and that's sort of one of the things. What I just said is hardly rocket science or revolutionary. Guys like McEnroe have been saying this for a while, where he really just hangs out way back behind the baseline, and doesn't really take advantage of his athletic talent. Doesn't just play. I mean, it's just regardless.
He has a habit of standing way back there.
Yeah, and
he likes to grind back
there. That's just
but that puts him in defensive.
It puts him in, and it's not fundamentally
often.
sound strategy to just hang out that far back.
Yep.
The Tarantula. Fognini did actually look really relaxed. I was almost surprised how pseudo-casual he looked when he was moving around the court.
Word. That's
pseudo-casual.
Pseudo-casual.
Well, I made it up, it might be hyphenated. I'll figure it out later. I'm going to add it to dictionary.com later.
All right.
Mo France. Adam has a date later. The lady friend is.
You had to put that out there.
Well, sorry to disappoint all the girls out there, but Adam is taken.
Right.
But yeah, so I wear a T-shirt. Adam looks nice. Well, with that in mind, let's talk about.
Well, we've talked about Roddick yet.
Well, let's.
Or do you want to go Yankovic or?
Yeah, there's
a whole lot.
There's a lot of stuff we can talk.
Ivanovic. How about Ivanovic?
Let's talk about Ivanovic. Well, there's not much to talk about.
Do we have a score line over there somewhere?
I can pull it up. It was 3-0. It was 3-0. It was embarrassing. So hang on. Let me open up the handy dandy.
You're gonna need to lower the resolution down as well.
All right, hang on.
Give us just a second here. We're gonna pull up a score line on RolandGarros.com here for you, so that you can see the results of these matches. Hopefully, we will be bringing that shortly.
Give me 30 seconds and I'll pull it up.
Yeah. And we're gonna need you to restart.
Oh yeah.
The other program.
All right.
Okay.
Should be good.
I think
So
we're good
let
to
me
go.
find,
Let's give this a whirl here. We're looking for the Ivanovic one.
Where are you?
Wozniacki. Are you in the right section of the draw here?
Well, I'm going to just complete.
There it is. No,
yeah,
right there.
right there.
Okay.
Right, cool.
Well, let's clip over anyway, and we're taking a look here. So you can see the score line there.
Yeah, Klebanova has a big game. I mean, she.
Ivanovic is on the bottom there, if you can't see that over on the left-hand side of your screen. And Klebanova is up top. So Klebanova wins 3-0. I mean,
Yeah, I mean it's just sort of unfortunate because
Getting bageled in the second set, really. Like,
yeah, I mean
where is her game right now?
it's all confidence related. She's got a big game. She's really talented, and she just hasn't. We saw her a little bit at Indian Wells, and she was playing. She played some practice sets with Kleisters, which we actually have video of. That needs to get edited up. Real-time video of them playing practice points, and she looked fine. It's just, I said this earlier in an earlier webcast, all confidence. And if you're not confident in your serve toss, or she's had some issues with her serve, and you're not confident in your movement, and you don't really believe in yourself, I mean, you're the only person out there. So if you don't think you can get it done, you're not going to. No one can sub in and help you.
Right.
So I don't know if I have anything more insightful to say than that, because she certainly physically seems fine, and she had put together some wins coming into the tournament.
Do you think that she was confident before tournaments coming in?
Well, I think.
Or did she pull it out on just ability alone?
No, I mean I think there's when you're training a junior, sometimes you'll put them in a tournament to play up, and you want them just to get crushed.
Right.
Or you want them not necessarily to get crushed, but you want them to play people who are better than them, so they can get that experience. But you expect them to lose. Well, then you also need to put them in some tournaments where you expect them to win or do well, because that builds their confidence. So it's a balancing act. So she played some, obviously not the French Open, but she won some tournaments in there. She played some not super high caliber events in terms of it's a really deep field, but she I believe she won. Wasn't Strasbourg. She won a tournament, I believe, coming into the French. So you have to expect she'd have some level of confidence there. But you never know how players with confident issues, the wheels can literally fall off the wagon like that. You can have done well, but if you're still not locked in, a couple bad points here and there, then you're done. So, hopefully she gets it. Yeah, she also played well in Rome, beating 2 top 10 players, thanks Star Fury. So yeah, it sounds like she had the matches under her belt. Charles, she's not as bad as Safina, who really, I think, has some confidence issues right now, which is too bad. Because she probably should not, whoops, I just.
Well, do you want to move on and talk about Roddick?
Let's talk about let me navigate over to Roddick before you.
We'll pull up a score line here for the Roddick match.
So Roddick won in 4 sets. The thing.
Let me clip over to that here.
Yeah, it was 6-3, and then he lost second 7-5. Then he won 6-4, 6-2. And let me pull up the stat line. All right, there we go. So I got that more or less in there. His first serve percentage is a little bit low. He made a decent number of unforced errors. He was plus 14 on winners. And
so unforced errors, 39 unforced errors that you can see there. Not a tremendous number, 13 aces, not bad. 64% for a serve percentage.
Probably a little low for him.
Yeah,
just because he gets so many in.
Right. But overall, not a bad game there.
Yeah, I mean, if we bring it back to us, the thing, Roddick's in a little bit different spot than someone like Federer or Rafa, and you expect those two guys, Fed and Rafa, you expect them to make the final. I expect Rafa to win. I expect him to beat Fed in the final. But, or I should say, so if those guys had a match like Roddick had today, then I might be a little concerned, because he had a tough one in the first round against Niemanen, 1-5, and he got broken a number of times. He got broken 7 times against. Kacic. Yeah, I think the V is silent. Actually.
Well, okay.
As everybody who's followed FIB knows, I'm very good at butchering pronunciations, so I am dyslexic.
It's not Will's specialty, that's for sure.
But the thing, I think Roddick is actually in a really good spot, having won yesterday, or not yesterday, the other day, and then having pulled this match out, because like we talked about in a previous webcast, he is playing himself into shape. Hadn't played since Miami, And he's really, this win and the one against Niemanen are mental wins, mental victories, and build mental toughness, build confidence, when your game is not all there.
Sure.
And, how far is Roddick going to go in this tournament? I mean, if I had to put money on it right now, I'd say fourth round against Federer is where he.
That was going to be my next question. Is how deep do you think Roddick's going? Fourth round, Federer?
Yeah. Well, let me pull up his draw, and we can look closely at that. I mean, here's Roddick,
and then we've got clip back to
so
that draw.
I'm going to be scrolling around, so if you guys get dizzy, my apologies. Here's Roddick, and here's today's match. So he's got Gabashvili, which is getting cut off by the magnifier, but we got Gabashvili right there. I think Roddick's got a great shot at coming through there.
Now, was Gabashvili a qualifier for this tournament? If you know in chat, post it in chat, but Gabashvili might be a qualifier here.
He's ranked
and not actually, wasn't supposed to be in the main draw.
But here's Ferrer down there. And I certainly expect Ferrer to get through Malise. So, that I think is probably as far as you're going to get, as Andy is going to go. But if that's the case, then that's a great tournament for him, given the fact that he doesn't have any matches under his belt. And if he gets through Ferrer, then it's been a fantastic tournament for him. If that happens, the guy he's gonna run into Rafa, hypothetically in the semis, but he might not get that far. He'd run into Djokovic before that, which if not Ferrer, you would think maybe Djokovic would get him in the quarters, assuming Djokovic gets that far.
That'll be an interesting match for sure.
Yeah, if it comes to that. But Roddick's had these two wins. If I were Roddick sitting in my French apartment right now, I'd be. I didn't say it was his apartment, hotel room, whatever. I would be really happy with where I'm at. I think ugly victories are you can take a lot away from them if you have a positive mindset and you focus on what you did well, and particularly if you feel like slowly but surely your game's coming together. I mean, Roddick knows.
So you don't want to come in and just breeze through until you hit someone that you can't overcome, and then have to have that experience deeper in the tournament.
I think it really depends on the context. I mean, what was your warm up, your lead into the particular tournament you're playing in? If you're Rafa right now and you're battling like Roddick, that's a bad sign. But he's not. He's killing people.
Right.
Or one person. I mean, he hasn't played a second round match, but I expect him to steamroll against Zeballos. But if you're Roddick, who's got nothing under his belt.
Zeballos and Rafa play at 5 a.m. tomorrow.
I got to get up
time.
for that.
So if you're up for that,
ouch.
Yeah.
Right. SW, my cold is better. I'm not. I got a bit of a scratchy throat. I'm pretty much over it. So as long as I get to bed early, I got to watch the Lakers Suns game tonight. But then I'll go to bed and I'll be up for Rafa. And I'll be sending angry emails to the French Open for scheduling it that early. But yeah, I mean, if you're Rafa and you're struggling, then that's a problem. But if you're like I said, if you're in Roddick's spot right now, then you're in a good. You should be happy, especially on your hands down your worst surface.
Yeah.
So we hit on that. Let's let me.
Go back to the computer screen here?
Let me go back to, guys, is there anything you want us to focus on? Any particular matches in the
Got about 5 minutes left in our schedule here.
Yeah, why don't we extend it a little bit longer since we had a couple glitches. I want to be fully awake for Fed's match tomorrow. Yeah, I mean, I don't. Federer is playing. What was his name? Let me find it. Reister. Yeah, Julian Reister, who I don't know much about.
Well, why don't you click on him? Let's find out.
You don't.
So Reister
24-year-old.
Probably a quali for this tournament.
I mean, he's 100. Yeah, he's
singles rankings 165 right now.
Barely we're watching. Whoops, I didn't realize. Sorry, I didn't realize you had clipped over on this.
Yeah, we're watching that.
Just navigating all over the place. Yeah, I mean, I don't know much about him. I don't expect. It's always a little dangerous if you've never. I don't know if Fed's actually played this guy, but It's always a little dangerous when you're matched up on the pro tour against a guy, particularly on the men's side,
that you've never seen.
That you've never seen, just simply because everybody at that level is so talented.
Sure, the men's game is pretty deep. I mean, someone who there's the chance that if you have an off day, that someone who's ranked 160th could hurt you.
Yep, absolutely. EPAPS, this is a bonus for your answering the question properly the other day. Yeah, I mean, you're right. If you have an off day, I mean, I'm not worried about Federer having an off day because they actually just did a segment on ESPN about how consistent, he's made all those semifinals.
Absurdly consistent he is.
The guy just doesn't have, if he has an off day, he's still like really, an off day.
An off day for Federer is still better than, someone's best day.
Yeah, exactly.
So, okay, well, we got a question in chat about this. What do you think of Venus Williams' outfits?
I mean, really?
It's a legitimate question. I mean, the tennis world seems to be abuzz about these.
I think you're asking the wrong person. I focus on the strategy and the technique and the. I'll leave. Tennis. I believe on our sidebar there's a link to Tennis Identity. Yep. Which I they cover some fashion. Tennis Serve Fresh also too.
Probably On the Baseline has something.
Yeah,
you
think
On the Baseline, a women's tennis news website. We link to them down further down on the page under FYB's
Eris
Trends.
Lawless's website. She's a good personal friend of ours.
Yep.
So she does a great job. But there's a couple resources out there if you're looking for
some more information on Venus's latest attire.
Yeah, that is not my area of expertise. I'm wearing a Penn State T-shirt. I mean, come on, fashion is not my. Take that, Eric.
Stick it to Eric, absolutely. So, what do we want to wrap it up here with? We got it.
Well,
5 minutes.
let's. If you cut back to the computer, one of the matches I'm looking forward to tomorrow. This is not coming through quietly. I'll do a slow scroll.
A slow pan.
Is Andy Murray versus Marcos Bagdatis. I think that could be a real interesting one. So I'll definitely check that one out. Interested to see how Dementieva plays tomorrow against Alexander Wozniak, just because Dementieva is essentially the best women's player to have never won a major. She's a great player, and a couple times she's run into Serena when Serena, at Wimbledon last year they had an epic semifinal match.
Yep.
So. Be nice to see her do well. Obviously, the Rafa match, you certainly got to watch it. The Federer match, I don't think they're going to be interesting though, in the sense of much drama.
I think they're going to be steamrolls, basically.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much.
You'll get a chance to see them beat down on some noobs, basically.
You get Enna at noon French time, and I picked Enna to win the women's side, so. We'll see how she's up a set already. That's a completion. And you got Joe Wilfred Songer. So if you're in Paris tomorrow or in France, I mean, tomorrow's a good day to go to the tournament because there's a lot of big guns, big guns playing. So let's see. Why don't we throw a couple tennis related, match related questions in the chat, and we'll round this thing out. Pina Colada asks, can I talk about the last time Fed and Nadal played in the French final, and why did Fed get beaten so badly? I don't remember the strategic particulars of this match. It was like 1-3-0. I mean, Fed won in 4 games in 2008, and it was just a total beatdown. On that particular day, I think Federer summed it up best. He just said, the guy, I'm paraphrasing, but he basically said the guy came to play and he was just much better than me. I think that was certainly the case. I mean, some days you step on the court, one guy's dialed in, the other guy is not. Federer certainly wasn't dialed in, and Rafa just took it to him. So I don't know, my memory of that match 2 years ago is a little hazy, but sometimes it's not any simpler. It's not any more complicated than somebody just having the A game, being in the zone, and there's nothing you can do. Charles asks, Chilich, Mayer, and Soderling, Montagnais. I actually haven't seen any of Chilic's matches yet, so that's going to be a tough one to call. I have to go back and look at some of the footage. I think Soderling's got a real good chance of doing some damage, just because. Let me find his draw before we jump over. But Soderling has been playing.
He played really well in his first round match.
And by do damage, I mean lose to Federer in the quarterfinals. I think he's got a good shot of beating. Good shot. I think he's going to beat Montañez.
We're on the computer
So here's
screen
Soderling. He just put the hurt on Taylor Dent.
Absolutely destroyed him.
You can see it right here. This is just embarrassing. And then you obviously have Montañez up here. So that's the next round. I got to go with Soderling. The guy, Dent certainly didn't show up to play. And Montañez obviously had a nice win here, 3-2-1. But Soderling, when he's got the groundies working, you saw what he could do against Nadal on clay, and Montañez is a nice player.
I got to think that part of it is that if he's tall, the ball bouncing up a little bit higher and slowing down on clay really puts that in his wheelhouse too.
Sure. He's a big, strong guy, so 6'4". That was the advantage he had against Rafa. That and the fact that Rafa didn't have his knees working properly.
Yep.
Rafa Rafa's not going to lose anybody. Would never lose anybody. Wouldn't lose to anybody playing his best.
On clay.
On clay. The guy's just ridiculous on that surface. Best ever in my opinion. But Soderling is an outstanding player when he is dialed in on any surface. Carpet, I think, is his best. He always used to do really well at the end of the season because they had a ton of carpet tournaments in there.
Sure.
Just loves that fast stuff. But when the ball is slowed down, and for a tall guy, if it's up in his strike zone, he can take huge cuts and make those shots. Mm-hmm. I got to think a guy like Montañez, who's certainly not as good as Rafa, is going to have a tough time winning that match if Soderling is dialed in. So that's sort of my feeling there. And then of course, for his troubles, Soderling's going to end up most likely playing Federer, and then that's going to be the end of the road.
Yep. Well, any other thoughts? What do we have? Do we have a question of the week?
I'm jumping. That's right.
We need to give away some free stuff here.
We got biggest threat to Rafa. Let me think of a question as I come up with the biggest, or think of a question we'll go. What are we going to give away? Let's give away, in honor of Andy Roddick's victory today. We'll give away an Andy Roddick autographed Net Pro Rook card, valued at $100. That's interesting.
There you go.
So while I think of that, I don't know. There's nobody immediately that Rafa should be worried about. He's going to get through Zeballos. Then there's possibly Leighton Hewitt. He just in previous French Opens he just killed.
He owns Leighton Hewitt.
Killed him. Mm-hmm. Lubicic, no way. Even though Lubicic beat him at Miami or Indian Wells, that's just
Mm-hmm. But that's a hard court.
Exactly.
Just no comparison.
This is.
I don't think there's really anyone in
Djokovic.
Djokovic
is the clear.
Djokovic and Roddick, I guess, are going to be ultimately his challenges here.
I wouldn't say Roddick. I don't think Roddick's got a shot against him. I'd say Djokovic, then maybe Verdasco. But Verdasco just got pancaked by Rafa earlier this season.
Yeah.
So, those would be my thoughts. I really don't see anybody get, I guess the guy who would have the best shot would be Djokovic, but that's sort of all relative. He's got, he might get a set. I'm sort of exaggerating, but I just don't see anybody. Starfier, you're right. Verdasco never beats better players. That's pretty much his MO. Got a great game. He should beat
better players.
Yeah, he should do better than he does. But I don't see Djokovic, particularly Djokovic. Maybe if you're talking about a guy from a year ago who had a little bit more confidence, the serve was working.
Yeah.
But right now the guy has no confidence.
Right.
So it's kind of a situation where in previous tournaments, not necessarily the French, but just generally, you have a pretty deep field. There's a ton of guys you think could do a lot of damage. But this year, I really don't see many people. This year's French, I don't see many contenders outside of Federer.
I mean, Wimbledon
Rafa.
could be more interesting in that regard.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Be more interesting. But I mean, Federer and Rafa are hands down the best clay court players in the last.
And I think people would be surprised at just how slow red clay plays. I mean, I know you and I have played on red clay out at the tennis center at College Park. They have red courts out there that are actually, the clay is brought in apparently from Europe out there, and those courts play unbelievably slow. It's like no matter how much you put on the ball, it stops dead, and you can track everything down, and it totally changes the way that points are constructed, and that, and what you can do with the ball and what you can't do with the ball.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fun surface, actually, if you've never played on it, because the sliding is really,
Sure.
There's hard, true sliding on a green, blue clay, but that's really different. The red clay is much slicker. I got asked what would Federer have to do to beat Nadal in the final? An act of God, I mean, that's obviously an exaggeration, but the guy had to do three things, which I talked about in a previous video. Serve well, at the serve at high percentage. Not necessarily get aces, but you just need to start most points with, if you can clip to the whiteboard, let me just show that real quick. He needs to get a lot of first serves in, because what he wants is a lot of balls, a lot of returns in the middle of the court where he can control the point off of his forehand. He needs to start points on the forehand. So with the first serve in, he's way more likely to get balls in this area of the court. And even if Rafa is able to get the return over here, chances are the amount of pace on this return, the amount of mustard Rafa puts on it, is going to be such that Fed can run around and control the point off of his forehand. So that's why he wants to have a high first serve percentage. Who cares about the aces? If he gets them, great. But he needs to just be in control off of his strength from point one. And that's what Rafa does. Rafa spins a ton of balls to off of his serve, high first serve percentage, 75%, serves it straight to Fed's backhand, sets up Rafa's forehand. He's in control of most of those points. So Fed needs to use that strategy to make some of his service games easier. He obviously needs to just hit his forehand well. That ball needs to be dialed in. He's going to have to be really aggressive with it. And he just needs to basically have a Soderling day, a day like Soderling had last year against Rafa, where it's just clicking. That forehand's going in, he's hitting his spots, he's taking big cuts, and it's working for him. If his forehand's off, he's done. The final thing is he needs to just stand on the baseline, and keep his court positioning manageable. He really doesn't want to be outside of these hash marks in the alleys. He wants to be in the middle of the court whenever possible. And the further back he stands, the easier it is for Rafa. If we have Rafa down here, this would be a lefty forehand, to hook him off the court. And he'd be hitting a forehand from over here versus a backhand from over here versus maybe over here if he was standing up on the baseline. So the further back you stand, the farther you have to move to get to the tennis ball. So if you're right up on the baseline, maybe you only move here. And obviously this applies to all angled balls, not necessarily a good one like this, but also just, a ball like this where you could be on the baseline hitting it here, or you could be back there making contact. And this is just a matter of several feet, this distance right here. But over the course of a point, let's say this is 3 feet and you hit 10 balls at a point and you're running an extra 3 feet for every ball. You hit 10 shots over that point, then you're running extra 30 feet. Mm-hmm. And all that adds up to you being out of position and the point being over.
Yep.
So standing literally 3 or 4 or 5 feet further into the court, and that's tough for Federer because it's that lefty forehand to Fed's backhand, so he's going to have to hit that backhand well. But standing in just a little bit there really helps from a court positioning standpoint. That's what he's going to have to do to beat Rafa, and that's what he did in the second set of the Madrid final. He stepped in. I thought he played a better second set in that Madrid final than Rafa did, and then just let it kind of get away. I'd say the fourth thing Fed needs to do is be a mental rock and actually convert when he has opportunities. Actually win, just a couple more break points. Play the big points a little bit better, and if he does that, then he has a shot of pulling it out. I need to ask a question. You need to ask. We need to give some stuff away.
A question.
Let me ask a question. Let me think of one. If you come up with one, feel free to fire it out because I am.
Yep. Okay. So I have a question.
There we go.
And this is actually a question about doubles. So get your doubles brains working. And the question is, who won this? If you answer this question correctly, then you are going to win the Andy Roddick autographed card. It's worth $100. Mm-hmm. And the question is, who won the men's doubles side of Indian Wells 2010?
Good question.
Who won the men's doubles? I need both names, not just one.
Last names, whole name, full name?
Full names. Full names
name.
of both people.
Ooh, so.
I'm going to need full names of both
He's
people.
making it difficult.
And we need full names.
You got it, Gene, you got it. I was worried because you listed it, and then
Rafa and Lopez.
Adam's a stickler for that stuff. He makes it tough for people.
Well, when you say Rafa won the doubles, that's not accurate because it takes two people to win doubles. So, we'll give it. Gene Aced is going to be taking home an autographed Andy Roddick card.
Yeah, and Gene, I'm messaging you. I'm private messaging you right now.
Yep. Make sure we get your email address or something like that. Okay.
And then just send me an email and be like, I won, yay, whatever. So with that, so thank you to Tennis Express for providing that. And in between the video player and the chat box is a little banner for Championship Tennis Tours. Again, they are making this webcast happen. So thank you to them, and please, if you guys are going to tournaments this summer, scoop tickets through them because they're like I said making this webcast happen. If you're going to the U.S. Open and you get tickets through them, you can hang out with us when you're up there.
Yep.
So that will be fun. Now with that in mind, I think
Wrap it up.
Any final thoughts?
Tomorrow afternoon we will be on at 5 p.m. Right? We went about 45 minutes today. Dang.
Yeah, we'll be on at 5. Gene, if you look directly below where all the chat is, there should be a message from me, giving you the email address, and then just email that. Yeah, okay. So with that in mind, tomorrow, 5 o'clock, we will be back. We'll be here on the weekends, too. So
absolutely.
Friday, Saturday, and then Memorial Day, Monday. We'll be broadcasting live as well.
Exciting.
So thanks for tuning in, everybody. Hope you enjoyed it, and we will see you tomorrow, 5 p.m. sharp.